Thank you, everyone, and welcome. It's just after 7, so I'll kick off. I am Professor Leanne Wiseman, and the idea for this online forum came about for tonight was really an opportunity to reach out and connect with our Repair Cafe community in Australia. It's been a while since we've done something from the Australian Repair Network, and that was really during the COVID time. So I thought it was time that we had an opportunity to come together, and it's great to see that we have 60 people on a Monday night. So thank you very much. I thought it was a good opportunity also for me to share some learnings that I've had from a recent research trip that I did overseas, mainly almost a bit over a month in the UK, doing some work around the repairing and sharing economies that are present in Scotland, Wales and England. So I wanted to share some of that knowledge. Also, the results of our 2023 survey that we did, and I know that not all of you were able to participate or knew about it. This was really an opportunity for us to just try and kick off and capture a bit of a picture of community repair that was happening in Australia. So what I'll do is start sharing some slides. I'll talk you through some learnings. So if you have any questions, can I suggest you make a little note of them? So when I finish the kind of presentation part, we can open up and have a more general discussion. Thank you very much for turning your cameras off and your microphones off. That makes things a lot easier when we have a large group. Thank you also for at the end, when we have a discussion, there's a function where you can raise your hand or you can type a question in the chat, and we'll try and go through and hopefully everyone will have a chance to be able to participate. So what I'm going to do is I'll share my screen with you. So welcome everyone again. As I said, the opportunity is really to get our Repair Cafe conveners, helpers and volunteers together so that we can have a bit of a catch up on what's been happening, not only in Australia, but some learnings from overseas as well. So for those of you who don't know me and I haven't met, I am Professor Leanne Wiseman. I'm also the chair of the Australian Repair Network. I am aided in that work with a fantastic steering committee of a range of repair stakeholders. We have Hido Verbist, who is a person who set up the Bower. He's now at Revolve Recycling. Revolve Recycling. He is with us tonight on this call. Also, we have John Goutsakis from eWaste Watch, an Associate Professor of Design at UTS and also the Product Stewardship Centre. We have Leslie Yates from the AAAA, the Australian Automotive Aftermarket. We have Kanchana, my research colleague from Griffith Business School. And we have Karen and Danny Ellis, who are Mended Australia, and also Matthew Steen from Choice on the Australian Repair Network. So firstly, what I'd like to do is provide an acknowledgement to the traditional custodians, the Yagara and Turrbal people here in Brisbane, the lands upon which we are meeting here. Well, I am meeting here this evening, and I pay my respect to all elders past and present, and I extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. So let's talk about why our community repair matters, and that's what I really want to talk to you tonight. My broader work is around the right to repair in Australia and where we are in the context of the international right to repair movement. But what is so important to our right to repair movement in Australia and internationally is the community and grassroots repair movement that we have, and particularly ours in Australia, because it's such a strong and passionate group. So just quickly, for those of you who may be new, what we talk about when we talk to the Right to Repair movement, we're really advocating for everyone. It's not just a consumer movement, but it's a movement for our businesses and industries as well. But our motorists, our farmers, our biomedical technicians, all should have the ability to have their smart goods and devices repaired at a competitive price using a repairer of their choice. So this is all about making repair more accessible and more affordable to third-party repairers and individuals as well. So what it means is it's necessary to give us access to the parts, tools, information and equipment that we need. And this is increasingly the case as most of our goods, devices and equipment are now embedded with software in those products. And so getting software updates to those products is equally as important as getting spare parts. It's important that we get a choice of repairers for our with fair competition in the marketplace, that consumers should be able to buy well-designed products that are both repairable and durable. And also we recognise the important role that repair and reuse of our products play in reducing e-waste, which is the fastest growing waste stream in the world, and it encourages the growth of the circular economy. So we know the Right to Repair movement helps fight climate change, but it's also about open and fair competition in our repair markets. It's about better product design, and we know what's really important in our grassroots movement is the societal impacts that our repair cafes and our community repair has about the transfer of knowledge and skills, the opportunity to provide training, equity of access and social inclusivity, and the community strengthening that happens at those events that we hold in our communities. So just a little bit of a refresher of why this is so important in Australia. In 2021, our Productivity Commission conducted a 12-month inquiry, and they made a number of recommendations which we are still pushing with all levels of government to be taken up. But they recognise that giving independent repairers greater access to our repair supplies and fostering competition for repair services can be done here in Australia without any compromise to the safety or discouraging innovation in our repair and service aftermarket. So it's been recognised in Australia that we do have unnecessary barriers to repair. And I know from experience that all of you in the grassroots community repair movement experience them on a daily or monthly basis when you actually go to repair the devices that are brought into you in our repair cafes. So my personal research work is funded by the Australian Research Council for 4 years, and it's really focused on looking at intellectual property barriers to the right to repair, but it's a broad look at the right to repair, and that includes the community repair sector, and that is why I'm so interested to support and elevate the work that you do, and the roles that our council and our state government and our federal government can. I love up on the right-hand side of this slide, this revitalised waste hierarchy that really represents a full gamut of activities that we need to really put recycling lower down in our waste hierarchy, and to concentrate more on the higher order. So I'm looking at a whole range of different product categories around consumer goods, around farming equipment, agricultural machinery, cars, we know, but also biomedical devices. So it's really important that the items that you are seeing in the community repair movement are really facing similar barriers to all of these sectors. So the challenges are very much the same. What's really important, we have over 130 repair cafes in Australia now, so congratulations to all of you. It's fantastic. This map, and I'll pay tribute to Karen and Danny Ellis. Karen has established this map. It is available at the website that is at the bottom of the page there, at our Australian Repair Network website. It's a clickable Google map, so you can click on each of the dots. You can see which repair cafes may be closed at this time. You can click and find your own repair cafe and see what days they operate, where they are, etc. So if, and this is a plea for people who may be in convenership roles or committee roles, if there are any changes to your repair cafe's operation in terms of venues or days or times of operation, and you'd like that information updated, all you need to do is email me, and I can liaise with Karen, who will then update the map so that our map is up to date. We like to keep that so that people in the community can actually find where their local repair maps are. Not all of our repair cafes in Australia are part of the international group. So some of our repair cafes will appear on the International Repair Cafe World Map, but not all. So, and that's why we like to keep an Australian one. That was just a really plea to keep us updated of your repair cafes. So our Australian Repair Network loves supporting the work that you do. So if you haven't signed up to us, I do ask that you do that, because that is the way that we can have your repair cafe and your information on our database, and we can include you. So please either reach out to me or just Google the Australian Repair Network and you can see our website where you can sign up, because that really helps us to keep in touch. It's really challenging to keep across the contact details of 130 repair cafes, and we don't have any other way to do that. So you know that on our website we have held a number of events, and these are all recorded as tonight's will be. So they will be available for you under the past events on our website. So we've done one on data, and tonight's forum will also be available there for you. So there's a community repair conference that we held in August 2022 that had some guest speakers. That is also there. So I've just thrown that up there to remind you that those resources are available to you. So we're really passionate about building what we call a repair economy in Australia. And this is all of us across all industries, including the grassroots community. So we really want repair supported by policy change, so that we have what we call a flourishing repair ecosystem, that our industries support repair, that we empower our consumers in relation to their ability to repair under our consumer law, that we have appropriate legal reform, and that we recognise the value of grassroots community repair, and that equity and social inclusion aspect, the skills and training, and addressing the digital divide, which is really important in these times of cost of living crisis as well. So these are all the wonderful smiling faces of repair in and around Australia. I get a lot of joy out of coming to visit different repair cafes. Every repair cafe event or lab, whatever you call yourselves, operate differently, and that's their strengths. But they're also opportunities for us to share some knowledge as well. We know that our federal minister is supportive of repair, and she's made statements and made commitments through the Environment Ministers meeting communique to keep materials in use. And we know that repairing things is about keeping materials in use. We need to do this because the most recent global e-waste report that came out in 2024 recognised that our global e-waste is growing at 5 times faster than recycling. So we are producing and consuming 5 times as much potential electronics or consumer appliances or equipment than can ever be recycled. And so that is why it's so important that we look at alternatives such as repair and reuse and push recycling down as one of the later options, not the first option. So let me talk about some of the things I've learned from overseas. I had the opportunity to go and visit in Scotland and Wales and the UK. It was a fantastic research trip, and I thought I'd share some of the learnings from you. Scotland has been a leader in terms of policy support for repair and share for a number of years. The Scottish government has set net zero targets. They have essentially Zero Waste Scotland that funds what's known as circular communities in Scotland. And what's really important, I think, from our perspective in the Repair Cafe network, is that they have funded a position. It was held by Emma Irwin, but now held by Jane Dixon, and she's based in Stirling in Scotland. And she is the share and repair convener for Scotland. So that is a national position to elevate both sharing libraries and repair cafes in Scotland. And you can see the difference that kind of funding to a central position has made to Scotland. There's been a growth in the number of repair cafes and tool libraries and sharing libraries generally across Scotland. And that's largely attributed to having someone in a role where there provides a platform for the sharing of knowledge and networking for all the disparate kind of repair cafes that are in existence in and around Scotland, and the sharing libraries as well. So it was really fantastic to be able to meet with Jane, to hear about their how their network and how they work and how that position is funded. I was lucky enough to go to attend some of the circular communities forums that were held up in Forres, which is just outside Inverness. So there's lots of learnings there. And all of these, I just wanted to mention a few tonight, but if anyone's got any particular interest, I'm happy to provide you with more detail and more information about each of these. Another example, so this is a share and repair network, and they have their own website. I was lucky enough to be able to call in on the Repair Cafe Glasgow when I was there. What's really interesting and important, I think, is that just to note, this was actually housed in a community centre. And so that community centre also offered meals. They offered a bit of a kind of welcome place for members of that community. There was lunch provided on a number of days, but they were also getting funding from a range of different sources. You can see from the slide that there was funding from the Glasgow Communities Fund. There's a National Lottery Community Fund that they receive funding from, and also the Glasgow Wellbeing Fund and the Glasgow Centre for Population Health. So they're really well funded and well grounded within that Glasgow community. So that was really great to see. Another example was to go and visit in Edinburgh, the Edinburgh Remakery. And this is Elaine Brown, who is the CEO of the Edinburgh Remakery. What is really interesting about this model is the Edinburgh Remakery is in essentially the high street. It's got premises now in amongst all the other shops. There's a grocery store across the path. There's other stores, dress shops, etc. So it's actually in the high street, and it gets such visibility there. What they're doing at the Edinburgh Remakery is that they have a repair cafe that operates there some days of the week. They have also expanded into offering workshops. There's some sewing and mending workshops. There's other workshops that they offer around different sustainability and reuse of resources. They do craft activities for children. But what they've also done, you can see in that centre photo, they've become a drop-off centre or a drop-off. They've developed drop-off boxes for e-waste to be dropped off to them. And they have got volunteers who come in and then who can either fix the computers and equipment that gets dropped off to them. If they're able to be fixed, they're repaired and offered in a shop front at much lower cost. So it might be a monitor or a keyboard or a computer. And those computers or devices that get dropped off that are unable to be repaired, they're dismantled and taken apart. You will see them, take out the copper. What was a really amazing example is Elaine was sharing with me that there's a lot of gold in some of the equipment that gets dropped off as e-waste. And the volunteers who take them all apart are separating out all the precious minerals from those devices. And they were actually approached by the Royal Mint for the gold that was coming out of those disused devices that they were pulling apart. So now they have a contract with the Royal Mint, and the Royal Mint's apparently making jewellery out of the gold that's coming out of those old devices or broken ones that aren't able to be repaired. So it's become a little bit of a hub for that community. And so people are coming in to buy secondhand or refurbished computer equipment for their workplaces or their children at school or university, whatever. But it's also becoming a place where businesses offer up volunteer days so that they'll do a breakfast, for example, for different industries, and they get to learn what happens at the remakery. So there's a real kind of connection with that local community, and it's a really good example of how a repair cafe can then kind of build out to other activities as well. So then I went to Wales, which was great. I had the opportunity to meet with the Welsh Government to talk about some of their policy support. The Welsh Government has a program, a really strong program around repairing and sharing communities. And they've actually made a commitment to increase their current repair and reuse hubs in their town centres to 80, and that's a 2021 to 2026 commitment. It's interesting, Wales is, when I looked at it, Wales is 370 times smaller than Australia. So it's a tiny country, but the way the government has embraced the circular economy really stands out in some lessons for us here in Australia. In the photograph, you'll see Phoebe on the left and Ella on the right. Phoebe is Repair Cafe Wales convener, and Ella is Benthig's, the tool library in Wales, convener. There's essentially a fully paid person to run repair cafes in Wales, and Ella runs the tool libraries in Wales, and they each have a number of support staff. So in all, both the repair cafe movement in Wales have about 5 positions, and Ella has similarly about 5 positions. That includes media comms, different roles to help support them. And you will see the difference in Wales because there's such a drive, and having that level of coordination at that national level has really elevated the sharing and repairing behaviours in Wales. So this is an example of Repair Cafe Wales. You can see their website on the side. They're actually doing data collection, real-time data collection. So the data is going in from their repair cafes, and you can see that being managed through their Repair Cafe website. So that's a fantastic achievement. And when I was talking to Phoebe and Ella, they're also really interested in trying to develop some kind of measure of that social benefit that repairing brings to communities. So it's a different measure to measure. A lot of repair cafes, we know, measure the weight of what's being repaired, and we know that that's challenging. It's great for big, heavy electrical appliances like, rice cookers or crock pots or whatever. But if you're repairing someone's child's school uniform, and it might be just a single shirt, often the weight of that won't reflect the importance of the repair to that individual, as same with jewelry repair, for example. So there's some sentimentality, but also that how much value does a repair mean to the individual that's not captured by some of the data that we're getting. So I'm really interested to continue talking to them about how we might measure those broader societal impacts of sharing of knowledge and knowledge transfer as well. So this is essentially Benthig's website, the Navy, making borrowing as easy as popping out for a loaf of bread. They have a great website. This is essentially organised through Ella and her team. They also have, really interestingly, a mobile repair and reuse project, and that they actually have got an electric van that helps people borrow more easily. So they offer up free delivery and collection, and also it helps to make repair more easy by offering pop-ups as well. So that's there in Cardiff. I went up to Newport, which is only about half an hour, 45 minutes away, to visit Remake Newport, which is a high street venue in Newport, which has got lots of empty shops. But this is an example of where the tool library and the repair cafe are coexisting in the same shop front. And it's a really great example where the repair cafe often borrows, and I just saw this in Ballarat the other day, it's a great example, where the tool library is coexisting with the repair cafe. The repair cafe operates 2 or 3 times a week. The tool library's got an online inventory so people can come and borrow, at certain pickup times. But there's that sharing of the resources in that particular venue, and it's become a bit of a destination place for people of Newport, not only to get things fixed or mended, but also to borrow tools or to borrow, camping equipment or whatever it might be. But this is an example of a really good use of what was otherwise a vacant shop front. And they had help from the council there to actually rent those premises for a period, for a number of years, and that's actually made them part of that high street. So that's another really great example of that involvement of getting premises and obviously insurance. So as I said, some of the kind of challenges that we have when we talk about the initiatives that we know in Scotland and Wales. England, just quickly, England does not have a dedicated position that is funded to sharing or repairing, unlike Wales and Scotland. There's lots of repair cafes and lots of tool libraries in England, but there isn't that kind of policy support for an overarching convener to help coordinate and elevate those activities. So as I said, Australia is about 32 times bigger than UK in terms of size, you can see, and you can see almost the UK has, nearly 3 times as much as population. So we have really big challenges in Australia about upscaling our network of repair cafes because of the way in which obviously our population tends to be around the coasts and also the huge distances that we have. We know Victoria has, more than 33, probably more, I think more have opened up. And you can literally drive an hour or 15 minutes in some cases, and you will go from repair cafe to repair cafe and, come across tool libraries. So it's that kind of denseness of repair cafes in Victoria that makes it really fantastic, that there's a kind of close network, but no one has to travel very far. And one of the challenges, for example, in Queensland, where we have our repair cafes, we have 14 or 15 in the southeast corner, and it's fantastic. We've got some expressions of interest from Ricky in Townsville, hello tonight, and Maria in Cairns, to try and open one up in the north. But you can just see it's more challenging when you can't just pop around the corner to look at how another repair cafe is operating and to chat to the conveners. So that's one of the challenges that we have in our network here in Australia. So as I said, our repair cafe network is made up of lots of different examples of repair. We've got our individual repairers like Karen and Danny, who travel around from different repair cafes. We have repair cafes. We have in Western Australia, I know that we have repair cafes, and we also have repair labs. We have repair events. So some people just do pop-up events. There's repair events along with clothing swaps, or there's a number of repair activities on university campuses. There's a photo there. The bottom is Gwyneth, who's one of our beautiful community repairers from Woolloongabba, who came along to one of our Griffith University campuses for a repair cafe. And we just do literally pop-up ones. You can see there's a couple of tables there and a couple of banners and access to power. And we do use a try booking system at Griffith. It just makes it easier for us to match repairs coming in with potential repairers. And so we have a database of students and staff. But there's also lots of opportunities for our community repairers and university students and really anyone to get involved in sustainability days. We have a Green Heart Fair in Brisbane. There was a sustainability day at Logan and Ipswich, and at all of those events, it's great to raise the flag for repair, because when you talk about repairing, you will all know that it's like bees to a honey pot. People from all generations are really interested in seeing things not going into the waste cycle, and they really realise the value of the need for us to do that. So what we did at the end of last year was to try and do a survey, and it was a bit of an ambitious undertaking to survey our repair cafes in Australia, not only the repair cafe conveners or the organisers or the committee members, however you're structured, but we also wanted to try and reach out to our repair volunteers and helpers who are actually doing the repairs. And so how we can only do that is because you're all in your own individual groups, and often it's a Facebook group, is that we tried to reach out to the conveners and we asked them to pass links on to their repairers. And one of the challenges, and we appreciate this, is that because we are all volunteers in this movement, pretty much everyone I know, has another job, or, we're all pretty much unfunded as well. So it's very difficult we appreciate that it was very difficult and challenging for people to take the time to complete a survey. So we probably had a 30 or so percent response rate from conveners and volunteer repairers. And we were really happy with that, and we're very grateful for everyone for circulating that and for taking the time to do the survey. These are some of the results, and what we'd like to do is try and build on this so that we can keep painting a picture and we can hear what the challenges are and see the opportunities from our grassroots repair. So the idea was really to try and get some insights into our repairers, our volunteer repairers and helpers, about the benefits and opportunities and challenges that they were experiencing in their repair cafes in their communities. So what was really wonderful to see is that we captured a whole lot of the positive impacts of repair cafes. We all know that the really strong ones are the saving of money or the economic benefits, and the reduction of waste. But also what was really important that people identified the social engagement, the opportunity socially to engage with people of all ages and all nationalities, the issues around sharing of knowledge and skills, and also the fact it was identified by a number of people about basically how happy it made them to be involved in the repair cafes that they were. So mental health and well-being was also one of the impacts. It's the fact that people felt that they were bringing hope to people, that there was an alternative to just throwing things out. And really, this is all kind of showing the importance to the circular economy as well. So, and we love the fact that every time a repair cafe is held, there's an awareness raising within that community. It helps local politicians see what repair looks like, but also it really just is a demonstration of circular economy where the rubber hits the road, basically, in action. So when we look at some of the results, and I'm mindful of the fact that this is only representation views of those people who responded to the survey, and we know that not everyone was able. So we basically, I'll show you through some graphs, and we hope that this will be something, a starting point that we can grow on each time. So volunteers, essentially, so the graph basically shows a representation of repair cafes that we had responses from and where they were based. Obviously, there's quite a lot from Queensland. That's not because we have a lot in Queensland, but that was probably because our networks were strongest here. There was a good representation from Western Australia, and you can see New South Wales and Victoria similarly. So we did have representation from almost all states and territories in Australia. But what was really important is the fact that it was identified through the volunteers that it was almost all of them identified the fact that repair cafes help combat social isolation through encouraging social connection and providing opportunities for innovation and learning new skills, and it promotes the positive health and well-being of all of those, not only the people who get things repaired, but the people doing the repairing and the people helping organise the repair cafes. So we've got, and these slides I'll make available to you, and we are collating all of this information into a report that we can then circulate to all on our website, so you can all have it, access and a look to it. We asked people about their form and structure, about, you know, did you incorporate, or are you or specied by someone? We've got a couple that are incorporated, a lot mostly are unincorporated, some are or specied, and some are community initiatives offered through other programs. So this was basically just to give us a sense of what business model a lot of repair cafes were taking. We asked around when people opened, you know, whether it was once a month, once every twice, or 3 months. Some people open twice a week, for example. And also we did ask around what systems people use to book in repairs. Most of them, like a typical repair cafe, is walk-ins. And a lot of people just like walk-in only. Increasingly, we are seeing, and I know from talking to a lot of conveners, and I've done this at Griffith as well, is some people use a try booking system or another form of booking system where they book in, basically people can book in for their repairs and identify what they're bringing in and what the problem is, and then they'll match kind of with their volunteers and repairers as well. Most people, there's only a few that will only use pre-booked times. Most people do a mixture of both. They might have a booking system, but they always take walk-ins as well. So I thought that's an interesting kind of piece of information for people who are maybe thinking of setting one up. And if you're not sure, I think a lot of the feedback from repair cafes is that they're really mindful of having, you know, people donating their time and volunteers coming along, but then not having any kind of repairs for them to do. So particularly in Queensland, because we have the legislation that requires us to have a licensed electrician under our Electrical Safety Act, which makes things challenging, we really don't want to have an electrician sitting there twiddling their thumbs. So we do like to know if someone's bringing in electrical things, so that often helps. There is, sorry, I'll just see if I can go back. There were questions around data collection, about when data was being collected, and part of the reason data is a really challenging issue for volunteers at repair cafes, we know that, and that is because of the time it takes to do the form filling out, essentially. So what we know, though, trying to get some kind of take up from councils and state governments and federal government is the repair data that we collect about how many things are coming in and how many things can get fixed and how many things get saved from going into landfill are really impactful when you're talking about trying to get funding to support repair and sharing activities. So it's quite interesting. We're interested in who could manage to collect the data, how they did it. Some people are trying to use iPhones or smartphones or iPads, but not everyone is tech savvy. Some people use paper forms and then input the data later. And some people just say that they're just too busy to do data collection, which is perfectly understandable, because that it's one of the big challenges when you've got a busy morning and lots of repairs happening. We did host a bit of a seminar about repair data, and you can have a look at that on our website if you're interested to know more. But we do there are different models, and they were discussed, and there was an international seminar some of you might have joined the other day about different methods of data collection. But that's something in the future, if we can ever get some funding for some state or local, state or federal kind of positions around repairing and sharing, collection of data will be one of the things that we really seek to ramp up. So going forward, lots of different skills. We know this. You would all know bicycle, woodworking, textile, electrical, electronics, musical, jewelry, tool sharpening, toys. You know, lots of different examples of the skill sets that people shared. Lots of interesting data around who volunteers and the level